So I wanted to see this video from Josh Strife Hayes about what an MMO that you should play. Oh, and I'm ready. Basically, I'm assuming that the conclusion of this video will be Final Fantasy XIV. You should play Final Fantasy XIV because it's the only good MMO. Okay, that's what I'm assuming. But let's see what it actually is.
Question I get asked as an MMO content creator is, what MMO should I play? And it's a strange question, because it implies that you can only play one at a time, and there's an objective best choice.
Oh no, he's an Aram Vale as a Sprout. This might not go well. Okay.
Which are both incorrect. So in this video, I'd like to go through the well-known major options you've got, some lesser-known, more niche options, the pros and cons of any choice, and why you should probably stop asking the internet what you should spend your time doing, because you're only going to get emotionally driven answers. And most importantly, I'm going to look at why approaching the MMORPG...
That's not why you shouldn't ask the internet for advice on what to do. That was like true. You shouldn't ask the internet for life advice. And he's like, because it'll be emotionally driven. No, it's because you're asking the internet for what to do. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes.
All right. I forgot. This is the thing he will always do in the videos. He always holds the coffee cup, but he never puts it down. And for some reason, this actually drives me crazy. And it's such a petty thing, and it should not bother me as much as it does, but actually it does really drive me crazy. Okay, we go.
I love MMORPGs. I've built an entire YouTube channel around them. I love the idea that you can go on an online adventure with your friends, journeying through fantastical places, having that experience with other people. That's a brilliant idea to me, and it's why I love every MMO game I've played. I always try and find something to like about all of them, no matter how bad other people may think they are. But the MMO genre does demand a lot of your time and sometimes a lot of your money, and people are hesitant to spend both of these things. So, which MMO game should you play? Which ones are worth your time or your money? First,
I feel like he's about to sell me some magic cards. Like, I feel like this is his shop that I've just wandered into, and he's about to show me his binder full of magic cards, and we're going to go through that together. That's the vibe I have from this background.
First of all, let's dispel some myths about world firsts, grinding to end game, treating the game as a second job. Because if you treat any MMO like that, you won't have fun. If you want to become a world-class football player, yes, you're going to have to dedicate all your time to playing football. Same for any sport, really. And if you want to become an expert on a TV show, you're going to have to watch the show multiple times, read the cast's biographies, watch the behind-the-scenes documentaries. You'll become an obsessed superfan. Okay. But most people don't aim for top-tier professional levels or superfan status. Most people can play five-a-side football with their mates, then watch a few episodes of one TV show, then go rock climbing on another day, watch a different show, then go swimming and watch another show. Variety is the spice of life, and this...
Is he suggesting that I be a casual?
...is equally true in the world of MMORPGs. If you approach the genre with the attitude of, I'm going to dominate a single MMO, you're going to turn your hobby into your obsession, your job, and your entire personality. This...
I haven't done that, right? I definitely haven't done that.
Isn't the best way to keep your passion for it alive. If you only want to play one MMORPG for the rest of your life, that's absolutely fine, but you do need to accept the risks that are inherent with doing this. The game may die. All MMORPG games may eventually end. You may finish the game. People have messaged me and saying, I've spent 5,000 hours on this game, it gets boring, what do I do? After spending 5,000 hours, you've probably got your money's worth of this game.
What are you talking about? What do you mean finish the game? What are you talking about? No! I've played for 10,000 hours and I've barely scratched the surface of things that I can do, man. What are you... Don't say that! Don't say that!
If you're going to make a single game your thing, you need to make sure it doesn't become your entire personality.
I'm feeling
because then
attacked.
You'll see any critique of the game as a critique of you, personally, and that's not a great place to be to provide meaningful feedback to a game. So we're going to approach this as attempting to find a casual hobby, not a serious 24/7 job. So now let's talk...
How to be a casual.
Talk about the cost, because this is probably the biggest issues new players face when deciding what MMO...
I feel like I should say, like, I am memeing. I'm just kidding. Like, I don't recommend that you play as much or as obsessively as I do. It's probably not a good idea, and you should listen to him on this, okay? He has a good point here. Look, I don't know what's wrong with me, okay? I'm not here to defend myself.
To play. All games companies want your money. That's easy to understand. So all MMO games are going to cost you something. You just have to decide what you're willing to pay and the monetization you want to accept.
Right,
if you want to make an MMORPG game your hobby, you have to accept that, like many hobbies, it will come with a price tag. Now, I still believe that the MMORPG genre is remarkably cheap when you compare the hours of entertainment you can get from a game to the money that you put in for the original purchase price or the monthly subscription. So now we're approaching this genre with a bit of a casual mindset and the willingness to spend money if we enjoy the game. Let's have a look at the games that are actually worth trying. The first MMO I recommend to literally everyone is Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 launched in 2012, and I was in university at the time, so I went and bought a day one boxed copy of the game. This game came out 9, almost 10 years ago, and I think I paid about 40 quid for this. I've installed it on multiple computers, and I've got thousands of hours of gameplay out of it. This genuinely might be...
Was it over 5,000 hours of gameplay? Does that mean that there's no more to get out of it? Like, did you get your money's worth out of it?
Best value for money video game I guess ever bought.
I guess so.
So why do I recommend Guild Wars 2 so strongly? Guild Wars 2 is made up of the core game, multiple living story chapters, which are in-game story expansions, and 2 major expansions, Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns, with the 3rd major expansion pack, End of Dragons, coming next year. And the core game has a free trial. It is the least stressful game to own because you never think, I'm paying a sub, I need to log on. I have gone 6 months without playing, installed this on multiple computers, and all my characters are still there, still waiting, still playable, and still powerful because of the horizontal progression. The main downside is a lot of older, more entrenched MMO players can find Guild Wars 2's varied gameplay focus a bit strange. Certain players are used to constant raiding or endless repetitive dungeons, and they often don't see the point in map exploration when the reward is a title, not an item, or recipe collecting, or jumping puzzles that reward you with unique cosmetics but nothing powerful. But I feel that's a symptom of how vertical progression has taken over the genre, the constant drive for more power instead of more gameplay. Guild Wars 2 is what I would recommend to anyone because it's free to try, and then when you do buy it, there is no stress to keep playing it. It has such a massive variation of gameplay, you can find what you like and then focus on doing that. There's a download link in the description if you want to give Guild Wars 2 a go. It lets you know you came from this video. It is one of the few MMOs I would highly recommend you try out first.
I never played Guild Wars 2. I never tried Guild Wars 2. Let's see. Let me look at it. What do we got? Okay, I don't want to be that. Maybe that. No. No. Absolutely not. It's okay, but like looking at this and then comparing it to, like, I like the idea behind it a lot. Like, this is my aesthetic, right? Okay, I like that aesthetic, but then my bunny just looks, like, in my opinion, looks a lot better, and this is a big deciding factor for me, in whether or not to play a game, is like, how does my character look? That's a big deal for me. Okay, I like the idea of that, Sylvarian, it's pretty good.
Fantasy XIV has a free trial and includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heaven's Ward expansion pack up to a level 60 with no restrictions on playtime. Okay, memes aside, the long successful Eastern MMO Final Fantasy XIV, which has seen a massive surge in popularity thanks to the downfall of Blizzard and the uptake by popular streamers, is one of the highest quality MMO experiences available. And more importantly, the free trial is actually really good. Final Fantasy XIV released many years ago and it sucked, and the developers knew they could do better, so they apologised, blew up the entire world by having a massive dragon come and destroy everything in an actual playable in-game event, took a few years to fix it, and then released Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, which was absolutely fantastic. Final Fantasy XIV is, as many YouTubers have said, not so much an MMORPG as it is an RPG MMO. Right, the focus of the game is the player's journey, the RPG bit, building your character, defeating the story bosses, reading the dialogue. It's not just about endless dungeons or zerging around with a mass of players. It's very much an RPG first and an online adventure game second, and for fans of the RPG genre, which includes me, this works very well. The character creator is great, and choosing a class isn't limiting, because you can level up every single class on one character. You do not need alts. You switch classes by switching weapons. Each class can have...
That's the thing that I think for me really sealed the deal with Final Fantasy XIV. It made it so I could not go back to World of Warcraft after that, because even when I was like early into my Final Fantasy XIV days and I thought about playing WoW again, I would go back to WoW and I would play, like I would do whatever I needed to do on a class, and then I wanted to do the same thing on another class, like suddenly I want to play a healer, suddenly I want to play a druid, and then have to do everything all over again over and over, when in Final Fantasy XIV you just get used to one and done, like not having to go back and repeat everything that you just did. This game completely spoiled me in that way, and it made it really difficult to ever go back.
Armor set saved and ready to go, and you can level...
Is this the only dungeon that you do? Like, maybe that's why you're like, Guild Wars 2 is the one you should do. Because literally the only dungeon that you've done is Armor.
Every skill and finish every guild quest line with only one character. Final Fantasy XIV is a game about the story, the journey, the adventure. And the great thing is, the community brings the adventure...
Wait. He put the mug down. The mug is not... this is the first time I've ever seen the mug knotted. What is he holding instead?
Out of the game as well. Whenever you go to fan meetups...
It's because he's got something else. He had to put it down to pick up the shirt.
You'll always get merchandise. Or if you happen to take down some of the harder bosses, you'll get proof of that.
I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Is everything okay? You put down your mug.
When the servers were full, when the recent influx of players happened, the company apologized. The director said, I'm sorry, I'll put more servers up. And they did. If you want to sit in the Limsa Lominsa Plaza and simply chat to people, there are always people there. Final Fantasy XIV is very much a community-driven RPG.
Best community.
It just happens to be an online game as well. From east to west now, with the Elder Scrolls Online. Morrowind was a great RPG. Oblivion was a classic high fantasy adventure, and Skyrim was apparently Todd Howard's Horcrux based on how many times he's re-releasing it. But they all take place in the fantasy world of Tamriel.
That was great. That was a great joke.
And the Elder Scrolls Online lets you explore Tamriel with friends, even going back to the locations from Morrowind and Oblivion that you remember. Every single quest in the Elder Scrolls Online is an actual story, from the simple act of looking for a missing dwarf and finding a brainwashing facility built on ancient magics, to fighting the Daedric invasion within Cold Harbor itself and saving the High King. It is first and foremost a classic fantasy journey. This is my day one boxed copy of The Elder Scrolls Online, as soon as it came out in stores. Again, this released while I was in university, so I'm pretty sure I lost hundreds of hours of lessons to that game. And continuing the lore, this is the Book of Tamriel, all about the land, the people, the places.
So, I have played a buttload of Elder Scrolls Online. Like, I have spent so much time in that game. I've made a couple of videos about Elder Scrolls Online. I've made a video about the lore in one case. I'm not talking about that. I'm not going there, okay? I can't go there. I can't talk about my lore video for Elder Scrolls. But I'm a huge fan of Elder Scrolls lore. And I like to just go through Elder Scrolls Online and read all the different books that I could find. I loved all the lore books that were scattered throughout the world. And there were a lot of things that, like the questing system he mentioned is excellent. And best of all, that journey, that fantasy, that adventure, it's fully voiced by some of the best voice actors in the world. Queen Ayren, that's Kate Beckinsale. Molag Bal, Malcolm McDowell. The Prophet, Michael Gambon. Hulking Emmerich,
Bill Nye, the English one, not the science guy.
John
Sir
Cleese.
Cadwell, John Cleese. Oh, and Nolan North is there too, because of course he is. The Elder Scrolls Online is a buy-to-play game, meaning a one-time purchase gets you the base game and
okay, let's not pretend like all of the voice acting in every quest is that good. Like, there's a fair bit that's feels like they were phoning it in because they had a million lines of text to record.
Morrowind expansion to keep and play forever. And then you've got options on how you want to pay for the rest, because there is a lot more. You can just buy all the extra content, like the smaller DLCs, like the Thieves Guild adventure line, or the major chapters like Greymoor set in the frozen lands of Skyrim. And buying them once means you've unlocked them forever. Once you own them, there's no time limit. Or you can join the optional...
Yeah, that's one thing that's really good with this sub is the craft bag, where you have unlimited space for all of the crafting materials. Can you imagine if we had that in Fallout 14? Oh my god, we need it. We really need it.
Subscription service called ESO Plus, which gives you access to almost all of the smaller DLC straight away, and a monthly allowance of crowns, which are the game's
crowns. Here we go.
And if you do decide to stop your
are you not going to talk about crowns at all?
Monthly ESO Plus membership, you keep the crowns you've earned, and then you can use the crowns to unlock the DLC or the chapters permanently. The main strengths of The Elder Scrolls Online are the experiences of your adventures within Tamriel, the journeys, the quests being actual voiced adventures and planned out storylines, and the build variety with classes, allowing any class to equip any weapon or any armor.
I love
leveling
that.
up all the skill lines and then combining various skills from various disciplines and various guilds to work the way you want.
I played a sorcerer in Elder Scrolls Online, and I really enjoyed being able to build my own job, like with my own ideas, like my own creativity. So I made like a mage tank that was all like lightning magic focused, and I really enjoyed the fantasy of that. But then whenever I got to end game, I struggled to find groups because people all wanted cookie cutter, like normal talent builds. They didn't want my jank lightning magic tank that I had built from my own like ideas, because it's an MMO and it's like obviously they want bring in people with cookie cutter specs that they know will work 100%. And I felt like I get it. It makes sense for them to only want the cookie cutter specs. Like if I was recruiting for a group, I'd probably want the same. But it just kind of sucked because that was one of the things that was most magical about that game for me. And then in endgame, I couldn't really do it. Before we move away from Elder Scrolls Online, I just want to say that I'm a massive, massive fan of... I already said that. I was going to say it again. I love the Elder Scrolls lore. I love the Elder Scrolls universe. I'm obsessed with the Dark Brotherhood especially. Like, that was my thing. So whenever they released the Dark Brotherhood DLC for Elder Scrolls Online, I was all over it. I was so excited. But I really... The main thing that actually pushed me away from that game was the extremely aggressive marketing of the Crown store. It was such a turnoff for me that... They really use some manipulative tactics to try to get people to pay for very expensive mounts that are limited time. It's like, oh, flash sale, here's a new mount. It's like $30 or more, and it's going to go away in 48 hours. I really, really didn't like that. And like the houses were extremely expensive a lot of the time, and it left a really bad taste in my mouth. And it honestly destroyed the game for me, and it destroyed my enjoyment of the game to constantly see that.
3. You probably played RuneScape back in school. It was the first MMO many people discovered on public computers because it ran directly from the browser and didn't need a download, meaning it swept through schools all over the world. One of its greatest selling points is its grind, which I know sounds silly, but people like it. It takes a long time to level up all your skills to maximum in RuneScape. It's not a game that
You're not selling me on this, friend.
At endgame. The endgame is when you can sit back...
The grind! You are gonna love it.
I can say, alright, I'm done. It's getting to the endgame, which will take you thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours, where the content is. You unlock stuff as you go. Once you reach the maximum level in a...
There is absolutely nothing that he can say that's going to make me want to play this game. Like, I'm sorry. It's not happening. Like, it is not happening. They do not... Like, the game just... to me, it does not look aesthetically good. And I just cannot imagine... what kind of calamity would have to occur in Final Fantasy XIV and in Elder Scrolls Online for me to consider putting a lot of time into this game.
But what if you look at this game and think, no, I want the game to look how I remember? Well, there's RuneScape Old School, built from a backup
There we go. Yeah, that's what I want. You know what? I changed my mind. I want old school. I want old school RuneScape.
copy of the game based on the
This looks better.
2007 build. Old School RuneScape has been
Oh yeah, see that talking head?
community-driven for years,
Nice.
with any new update being polled by Jagex to
yeah.
the player base, and if that idea doesn't pass 75% approval, it doesn't happen. This is a double-edged sword. It keeps the game balanced and the community in control, but it can also mean pushback against new ideas just because people don't like change. Both RuneScape 3 and Old School RuneScape have really good mobile clients. This is probably the best mobile MMO experience available right now. I mean, come on, don't you
Wait,
guys
what?
have phones? The base game of both RuneScape 3 and Old School is free, with an optional monthly membership. Subjectively, I love RuneScape, but removing my subjectivity, objectively, it's an incredibly high-quality game. It's stood the test of time, it has changed, it has evolved,
It has.
and now it's listening to the players and going where the players want it to go.
That's a good
It's
idea.
a high-quality, content-packed MMO, definitely worth your time. The games I've just touched on.
Worth my time for Should I play RuneScape? Hey chat, do you think I should play RuneScape? Am I completely, should I just get over it, how it looks? I don't know. I mean, he just gave a really convincing argument, and I know that Endwalker is just around the corner, but I've been thinking a lot about what he said at the start of the video about being a one-game Andy and all that, and about how I shouldn't make my whole personality about one game. So maybe I should just switch and play the RuneScape instead.
Try to find what they do well.
Oh, wait a
Look
minute,
for
is this the outro?
weaknesses. Look for how they handle those weaknesses, how you'd improve them, and then find the weaknesses that you can live with.
Wait a minute.
But that's not the full MMO roster, not by a long shot.
No, it's not.
Just below the world-dominating titans of the genre, you've got a wealth of smaller but still extremely enjoyable and successful games.
Is he doing what I think he's doing?
These MMOs by simply saying dead game just because they don't have 1 million players. An MMO doesn't need 1 million active players to be successful.
He's
It
right.
just needs
That's actually an excellent point, and him highlighting smaller MMOs is super cool, and it makes me like him a lot.
to provide what enough people enjoy to keep them playing.
But
and
you
be
know-
monetized
I feel like there's an MMO that he hasn't mentioned.
fairly enough, the player base feels respected. It's much more important to have a connected
I
community.
can't remember which one, but I feel like I remember one that people were playing. But do you guys
than
remember?
just
Because I don't.
thousands of
Maybe
disconnected
not.
players. If you're after a fast
Yeah, I think maybe that's it.
even Ultima Online is still actually online and playable. But if Old School isn't your
I'm sorry, but that's not I don't know if that's the best recommendation for this. It's Ultima Online is still actually online. Josh, listen to me. If you're watching this, I'm begging you to do another dungeon. Please do a dungeon besides Aram Vale. Do that for me, okay?
So, which MMO should you play? I know this is a non-answer, but the honest answer is all of them. Try
Except which one? Sorry. All of them? But are you sure we covered them all?
all of them. Look for the bits that you like. Accept the bits that you don't like and realize that there is no perfect MMO. If you find a game you love, great. If someone else finds a game they love, fantastic. And if it's not the same game, it doesn't matter. When someone comes to you and says, "What MMO should I play?" they aren't asking, "What MMO do you play?"
What they're asking is, what MMO should I not play?
They're asking, which game do you think I would enjoy? And I know it's difficult to do, but sometimes you need to recommend something that you personally won't like because you know they will. If it becomes a grind, if it becomes boring, if you realise that you don't want to log on, but you're logging on out of habit because it feels like a job, change. Play another game for a bit.
Okay.
People always say to me, "Oh, my main
Then I'm
MMO
not going to play another game.
was boring." I say, "Great, go and play another one for a bit."
Oh, no.
Wait until some new content releases, go back to that one.
No.
It's still going to be there. You don't need to read the same book once you finish reading a book.
Yes,
You don't
I
need to watch
do.
the same film once you finish watching a film. You don't need to eat the same food every single day, and you definitely don't need to play the same MMO for the rest of your life.
Wait, you think
Approach
I eat
the
the same
MMO
food every single day? You think that I have the exact same breakfast every single day of the chia seed pudding with the exactly 14 almonds in it with the 1 tablespoon of maple syrup? You think I do that same thing every single day? Of course not. I have variety sometimes.
Genre the same way you approach the variety in the rest of your life, then you'll discover there's a great deal of high-quality MMOs out there just waiting to be enjoyed.
Wow. Well, that was a great analysis of every MMO that I'm aware of. All the big MMOs were talked about and were covered here. I liked the video a lot. I really liked it. But like for me, I think in my decision to decide to play an MMO, a lot of it is about how does this MMO look? That's the first thing. Is it pretty? Do I like the art style? That's a big deal to me. Also, is it pay to win? I'm not going to play a game that's pay to win. I really enjoy his style of video. It's like very thoughtful, and I enjoy the scenery here where I feel like I'm in the card shop. It feels like I've wandered into the magic shop basically, and he's telling me about how good RuneScape is. Overall, a great video, though I can't help but feel like it was leaving something out. Maybe not. Maybe not. No, I think maybe I'm just misremembering.